Ciao a tutti e benvenuti a Tools Reborn. In today's video we're going to address one of the most common problems for every woodworker: how to sharpen a chisel properly. This video is a collaboration between me and Japanese Tools Australia, so if you have ever found yourself struggling to set up your chisel and create the perfect bevel, this is for you. And today we have this beautiful set of Kikuhiromaru Japanese Nomi. We will need to set up the back of the chisel and establish the bevel that will be sharpened on synthetic stones and finished on natural stones. The first tool I want to show you is a little square that will help us check the squareness of the bevel throughout the process. Where is it now? It keeps running away. Here it is. Let's get to work. The first step to sharpen something is to have something to sharpen.
As I mentioned, this is a set of Kikuhiromaru Nomi, the Japanese version of a bench chisel. I feel like I owe you some more context. Classic Japanese chisels have a high carbon content laminated construction, where a harder piece of steel is attached to a softer body. Kikuhiromaru specializes in this technique, and by carefully controlling the temperature during the critical bonding phase, the smith minimizes defects between hard steel edge and the soft iron body. This results in a chisel that possesses both extreme long-lasting sharpness and exceptional durability against chipping. A balance that is notoriously difficult to achieve, and my task is now to adjust the geometry by sharpening so that all this effort can shine. But before we get into it, if you want this little square to run to your doorstep, subscribe and comment Shinwa and your name below. And if we reach 100 comments, I will give this square to one of you guys. Now, before we get to the stones, we need to properly flatten the back of this Nomi on a Kannaban. A Kannaban is a heavy, dead flat steel lapping plate designed specifically for this job. Unlike a waterstone, it won't dish or hollow out while you work. To use it, you need an abrasive medium. This can be either carbide or the slurry from a synthetic stone. We're going to start by rubbing a coarser stone on the wet Kannaban, then placing the chisel absolutely flat, use a linear motion to start working the back of your tool. It is important to check your progress constantly until the back surface is evenly flat around the rim. Once all the chisels are set this way with a coarse medium, we pause this process and start attacking the bevels. We will come back to the Kannaban towards the finishing stages, stepping up the stone grit to create finer slurry until the back achieves a close to mirror finish. For the main bevel, we will need sharpening stones, and they can be synthetic and natural. A 400 grit Atoma diamond flattening plate, and in addition to this, a sharpening jig can be a great help if you don't yet feel confident in freehand sharpening. Before we touch the bevel, our stones must be flat. A curved stone results in a curved bevel. We use the Atoma 400 diamond plate to lap the synthetic stones. Diamond plates are the modern gold standard for this. They cut incredibly fast, ensuring our work surface remains level at every step. Next, we set up the jig. A sharpening jig can take the guesswork out of the equation. You slide the chisel in to lock in your exact angle and tighten it down. When you're new to sharpening, or if you are a DIYer who wants to build confidence before going freehand, this will genuinely help you learn consistency and control. Now we take the jig to the synthetic stones, starting from coarse and working our way to finer grits. Synthetic waterstones are brilliant for this stage because they cut aggressively and consistently. They do the heavy lifting, removing steel quickly to establish a clean, flat bevel and erase any factory grind marks. With the angle locked in by the jig, you can focus entirely on smooth, even pressure. It is vital to keep the stones flat during this process, or your bevel will end up rounded. We work our way up to the grits, refining the scratch pattern until the bevel is crisp and the geometry is perfect. Another important note is that a couple of these Nomi had a factory bevel that needed more aggressive correction. For those I used the Atoma diamond plate directly onto the bevel to remove material faster before returning to the stones. Don't be afraid to use the right tool for the job. Finally, we move back to the Kannaban to use a finer grit and refine the flat of the Nomi. This is the step that ties everything together. A mirror flat back meeting a perfectly flat bevel creates an edge that is as precise as geometry allows. And once this task is completed, we jump into my favorite step, Japanese natural finishing stones. I love going natural for different reasons. Jnats are, in my opinion, an all-round sensorial experience. Let me explain why. While synthetics are great for shaping, a Japanese natural stone refines the edge on a microscopic level. Natural stones have been used by Japanese craftsmen for centuries because their irregular abrasive particles leave an edge that is not only sharper, but actually lasts longer in the wood. It creates a micro-serrated edge that is incredibly durable. You may notice that once you wet them, they have different scents as well. And if you close your eyes and focus on it, you can easily travel across the world and find yourself immersed in Japanese nature. I know that sounds poetic for a sharpening video, but try it once and you will understand. Then there is the beauty of the bevel. Natural stones react differently to the two types of steel in the chisel. They polish the hard, high-carbon steel to a mirror finish, while leaving the softer iron with a beautiful hazy contrast, a finish that synthetic stones simply cannot replicate in the same way. We now give the bevel its final polish and then lay the chisel flat to give the back one last delicate touch on the finishing stone to remove any micro burr. And to finish up the process, we need to protect the metal properly. High carbon steel will rust if left bare, especially in a workshop environment. A chisel is not a display piece. It is a working tool that takes a beating every single session. That is why I often choose Renaissance wax over camellia oil for tools. This product was originally developed by the British Museum for Metal Conservation. Renaissance wax forms a microcrystalline barrier that is far more durable than oil under repeated use and handling. Being of a synthetic base, it will not go rancid. It won't attract dust and it gives the steel a clean, dry protection that holds up beautifully on a tool you reach for every day. A small amount on a cloth, a light buff and the job is done. And there you have it, a properly set up Kikuhiromaru Nomi set, ready for a lifetime of work. By keeping your edge sharp and your metal protected, these tools can last for generations. And over time and with some practice, your edge will be better and better. I hope you found all this information useful. Remember to check the description for the links to all the tools we use today. Thanks for watching, ciao e a presto!